That's not working, is it? Oh, it is. There you go. Sounds very echoey. Well, that is working. It sounds a bit airy, doesn't it? I'm using hyper a HyperX mic because I have a pair of Polyland wireless mics, and those are what I normally use on the stream. However, I keep leaving them on my collar and washing my clothes. So I think I have ruined them. And I do not want to use the DJI ones because they don't sound as good, ironically, which is what most people use, DJI mics. So I'm using this one for now. So it is what it is. How are you doing today, Sully? Hope you're well. Okay. So over the weekend, I used the time to um, I used the time to do a few things. What I've been doing is I've been trying to review how do I want this functionality to come about. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a shorter stream because I have to get ready for some work stuff. So maybe just over an hour for a stream. But basically, right now we have the review. Right? And the review is any deliverable. You can go in, you can see what requirements are set out, and you can add tasks, which is great. But then how does the product manager hand this off? So last week ended with basically once it's handed over to the team, the product manager should be able to say it's with development. So that again, transparency, visibility of all the process. That's what I'm focusing on here. Is the ability for anybody to see where something is at any time, so we know who's responsible for which piece right this second. So if the product manager comes in here and reviews this with the team, and the team's like, no, we're missing a ton of requirements. We need acceptance criteria. We don't have the images. Like this will get richer, right? There'll be, mock-ups and everything attached to this, discussions that have gone on. It'll all be brought through into the screen to try and give context for this planning focus. But what does this screen really give you when it's just a big list of review? Now, this is just for teams I'm associated with, so projects, database, and backend. My user is associated with a team that has those projects associated. So I'm attached to that team, and I therefore can see these projects. Um, but it doesn't really do very much if the tasking has to happen before we can move it with development. And it could sit there for weeks with the tasking sat there because the product manager might present it and then the development team have to task it, right? So how do they do that? Well, the backlog is only going to show right now. The backlog only shows tasks. It does not have any focus on which initiative or which deliverable it's actually focused on, right? So there's no filtering here. There's no like indication of which deliverable anything's part of. So grouping here will become a thing later, I think. What I'm trying to determine is what is the best way to handle this and still represent the ideas that I have, which is the product manager should be able to present it when the team is comfortable that they know what they need to task it, even if they don't finish the tasking. The tasking doesn't always have to happen with the product manager present, right? The tasking can go and be done asynchronously to the process by the team. Um, or serially. Um, but the first phase, when it's ready for review, the team has to say, yes, this meets our definition of ready. Right? This is ready for us to work on. We can actually plan this out, and it will let us do what we need to do. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to introduce a Kanban style board of ready in review with development in progress, right? So the deliverables will phase through here. Complete is not something I would necessarily want to show here. Basically, once it's marked as complete, that's a product management phase. So the product manager would be able to see, oh, this back in their planning screen in the in progress items. Oh, 10 of 10 tasks, 10 of 10 items have been worked on this deliverable. You know, it's ready for review. So um, yeah, that's kind of the goal there. So what I'm thinking is I'll create a 3 lane, and it won't be configurable in the end. Like right now, this isn't configurable because I've got hard coded statuses, right? But ultimately, this would be a more configurable thing where the teams can decide what this looks like. They just need to figure out what is an entry point, what is in progress states, what is a complete phase. But if I do it here, everyone can see, oh, we've got a ton of stuff for review. Oh, we've got a ton of stuff we need to start planning, and then the backlog later will work. And I think that that achieves what I want it to do. Right? And I've been going back and forth on this on with the robots to see how that might work. Um, so yeah, so what I'm trying to do right this second is actually I think I can do this. I think I can do this as a UI change without actually really need to fix this screen. So I bought a little it's really for phones and tablets, but I bought a little and it comes with a Visa mount. I've got this touch screen to my left, and I bought the stand so that I could get it off the desk and use it a bit more, but I've just got the angle wrong, so it's kind of flat. I'm worried that the magnet won't hold out if I touch the screen. Um, so I use this for all console stuff. So when I'm doing like Claude chat, I don't like putting that up on the screen or flicking, putting it up onto the actual screen. So yeah. So want. So how do we do this? So want to change the this way. So here um, I have my Claude conversation, right? So this is in my project. I have a document that's continually being built of what are the rules that I've talked about, what have we actually said is going to happen, what are the states, what are the phases. Frank, good morning. So can you help me create? How are you doing? How was your weekend? Um, can you welcome back? How you doing? Maybe. Guide. Not bad. Not bad. Uh, I took a walk yesterday, which was good. All things considered, my knee being busted and all. Um, no, I didn't get any Lego. I played a couple of hours of Pragmata on Saturday. I streamed that. Got a bit further in that. Finished a giant boss that I was very intimidated by. Realized that that sort of game gives me really, really bad headaches. Although it could be the frame rate because the game is playing at 60 hertz on a 120 hertz monitor, and I think if I'm very frame rate sensitive, and I ended up with a massive headache. So that wiped out the rest of Saturday. Well, it was chill though, so that's fine. And I took a long walk yesterday, which was pretty good. And my daughter came along, so it was a nice wander. Uh, and Um, yeah, the kid part, yeah. So I played some Pragmata, which I did enjoy. I think I've got to figure out how to get the screen to go to 120 hertz though. So if I use the Ava Media capture card, if I mess around long enough, I can get it to go to 120 hertz. So the frame rate is much smoother for me, but the color is terrible and it doesn't always work. So I'm using the Flint 4K Plus, which will only max out at 60 hertz. So the PlayStation is limited to 60 hertz. So, and I found this if I play games on the TV in the living room, the 1080 60 is quite disorienting for me. So I end up with, if I play games with a lot of motion, um, I end up with a bad headache. So, but Nets, hello. Why not the NDI? Use the Zowie box. Will that support 120 hertz pass through? So I could plug it through that, use the NDI to stream off of, and then have 120 hertz. That is a good point. I didn't even think. Ah, how would I? Hmm. I still want to have a split though, because so part of the setup I have here is a splitter, which is probably part of the problem. I could try that though. I'll thank you for reminding me of that. I forget about the Zybot being so useful. So, yeah, um, yeah, because the PlayStation's got the HTCP, so it it is sensitive. Well, not the PlayStation. Well, the PlayStation does have HTTP. HTCP. The Ava Media is real sensitive. It won't do the HTTP split out. So the Flint is like, well, whatever, it's fine. Um, but I have problems with the Flint. Where sometimes the bottom screen drops. Right, that's all the same. Use it for my PC. I'll check it out. The REI splitter. Yes, I have. I have an REI splitter somewhere. I don't know if it's the 8K one. I'll check it out. I like the REI stuff. I do have this Rescue one. I don't know if that'll show up on stream. Um, and it does the HTTP split strip, so it makes the signal okay. But yeah, I cannot get it working. Alvastorus, welcome in. There's no real commands in this stream. It's not about. Um, I don't do a ton of that. I really just stream my coding. So, but welcome in. Thank you very much for the follow. Um, Well, stream is about me sharing what I do, sharing my project, and you're welcome to ask any questions you want to ask about coding, about what I do. I'm happy to talk about the project at any point. You're more than welcome uh, to converse. So this is project or this was formerly Project Liquid Sky. This is now Kaizu, the product that I'm building. Is a project management and planning application aimed at providing smooth um, separation of concerns between groups, allowing requirements to be gathered and produced meaningfully for developers to actually go off and implement, and then focusing on delivering those requirements as cleanly and as accurately as possible without a ton of meetings, without a ton of conversation that's necessary in the place. So the concept is initiatives allow uh, people to come up with ideas and to plan them out and to kind of figure out what it is they want to build. When they're ready to work with it, they get a product manager to help them build out the deliverables, the things that they want to deliver as part of that. Deliverables consist of requirements, which will have acceptance criteria, etc. You can capture discussions, attachments for mockups, etc. Ultimately, I'll be able to put in meeting components so that we can register, schedule meetings from within the application, so that we can see what meetings were done against the actual deliverable. Dependencies to show if there's other deliverables that are dependent. From there, the product team hands over to development team with this in review. And the review phase is, hey, these items should be worked on next, or these items are ready to be worked on. Go off and plan out what you need to do, and the development team is then able to task these out. And Delta, thank you very much. Welcome in. Sorry. Hello. Good morning. So the development team is able to task this out, and when they're ready, they can kind of plan their sprints out and work on their sprint boards with. Right now, it's Kanban boards really, but it's not sprint boards. But same idea. Swim lanes are static right this second as well, but yeah, they're able to work on this. They're able to, if they have, let's go to review. If they're, sorry, backlog. If there's branches, etc., it will link the branch from and pull requests from there, and then delivery is literally tracking the releases and able to um, see what is actually part of a release, and will like how different is it to platforms like GitHub and Jira? Um, to me, it's different than Jira in that it is very focused on the workflow and it's opinionated. It's not open to everything. It's not highly customizable to that leaves it open to interpretation how things should work. There's a clearly opinionated path through the application that can be directed. It's built to encourage teams to communicate and collaborate. Um, yeah, the idea is very much one of communicating the status of products and projects uh, without having to set up meetings and track where things are. So there's a big part of the backend components still to come that are around notifications and changes, etc. So yeah, and overall, um, again, I'm open to opinions, good or bad, right or wrong. For me, this is more. Would I love to make this a product? Yes. In today's world, with AI being what it is, do I get an ever creeping feeling that it's really not necessary at this point? But it is still the journey that's there for me, and I've still loved every single moment. I've been building this for about 2 years, on and off. This is what the project looks like underneath. Overall, uh, it's a event-driven distributed system using Kafka as a primary backbone for that. Got Postgres databases in there, SignalR, GraphQL, and MongoDB. And yeah, so it's a labor of love, but I've seen a lot of dysfunction in my time as a developer, and it is my way trying to tackle some of what I see. So let's put that over there now. I don't need that. Uh, gotcha. Uh, yeah. So you are more than welcome to ask any questions. You are more than welcome to join in the conversation. Um, the stream is about me kind of sharing this and showing the struggles, successes, the failures, the you know, yeah, yeah. Still don't know how I'm going to bring up that story splitting thing. I feel like I get leave me alone if I show them my blog article. Eh, but you don't have to force them to read it. Just put it out there and say, "Hey, I put this together over the weekend. I was thinking about it. What feedback? Do you have any opinions on this stuff?" Not everyone will read it, but Campbell offer it up. Okay, so just getting to build a Claude Code prompt for me. So what I'm trying to do is what I'm going to change here is this view is great and all, um, but the um, did I miss a conversation? Just um, yeah, this view is great and all, but the ability to have the columns for the states of the deliverable at the point where it's in implementation phase. So deliverable starts at the planning section, right? It's a deliverable item that is something we want to be able to produce. And the idea here is that when we try and constrain ourselves to stories in Jira or even epics and stories, then the teams I've worked with, and even myself, I'm not saying I'm perfect here, we kind of get stuck on well, that's not the business stuff. That's not the uh, uh, um, it, the stories are normally describing what the business requirements are, right? They're not describing we need this database connection, we need to do this, we need to do this. And then when we get to tasking is not clean in Jira. It's not very obvious. Tasks get blurred in all the time, and it doesn't allow you to reassociate that back. So what I'm trying to do is produce these as individual components. So from a top level management perspective, how are things going? Right? What is the state of these? Now, eventually, this will again look very different in that it will have a similar kind of Kanban style approach to it. Um, um, and from a management perspective, you don't necessarily care about how the implementation is going or even how those items, those deliverables are being drilled into. You just care, hey, we've got this idea, where is it? Right. So they'll be able to see, oh, for this deliverable of this initiative, here's the status of all things. So we'd have a board here that would show those things. I plan on heavily relying upon that Kanban board style. In the backlog, again, for the deliverables, a given deliverable would care about all the other things, but they care about outlining what is the business reason. And that's why I have the goal here. Provide code level release confidence by automatically linking merge pull request to tasks without imposing any branch strategy. That's a key thing for me. I don't want to force a branch strategy right this second. We ended up with very technical stories, and now we're changing them slowly to more user-driven stories. I think the epic level story should be user-driven. We'll decide if the ideal story is technical or user. And that's the pain that I'm trying to figure out. It's because I've seen that pain too many times. And again, trying to present this to the right people at the right level, right? So from a development perspective, you don't care about this when you're working on a story here might consist of many pieces, but you don't care about all the little pieces when you're working on one component of it. You care about that specific piece, and you should be able to tie it back up, right? We shouldn't have to see, when we go to the backlog, again, one of the things will be the description here is fine, but you need to know the why. So, and I've kind of lost here a little bit right a second. It was in here and it's been removed by iterations. The idea is that you should see the the thing that this links back to. Right? We need to know that. Like, what is the why we're doing this? And that is on the deliverable of this phase. And an initiative has its own objective. Like the objective of the business is this, right? Enable users to understand when changes have made conflict with the server so as not to lose information, right? So again, trying to break those things down. And yeah, for those that are new to the stream, if you do have an opinion, if you don't like this idea, you think it's missing something, or it's it's wrong, um, I'm open to hearing that. No matter how I react, I'm still willing to listen to. Um, um, see, let's see if this changes things now. Let's give this a go. No changes pending. Let's see what happens. Just gonna feed that in and mode on. Wrong is a hard word in software development process. Not. It is a hard word, but it is something that we consider all the time. Um, we hear all the time, right? You're doing that wrong, or this is the wrong way. You shouldn't be doing that, right? Um, which is why I'm always open to hearing it because I want to understand how people perceive that. Is it because they've done it and they've learned something that I can then learn from, or is it because they've been told that and they follow that guidance? And a conversation can help us both understand why I do it differently or whatever. So I think it's very useful to understand people saying it's wrong. Um, so I think you shouldn't be afraid of hearing it. Use permissions on the goal. Plus, why would it be a good idea? Why would it be a good idea so that only product owner can? Uh, I've got a whole permissions thing to come. The review of the permission stuff. Right now, the permissions are down to whatever level I describe, um, but I do need to do more in terms of user permissions, what it means to have ownership, etc. No, I need to consider it though. Uh, I should definitely consider what it looks like to do that. By the way, I'm just waiting for Claude to do its thing. Right a second, the screen might change very drastically very shortly. Um, I put it in plan mode rather than automatically just bundle through everything. So it gave me a prompt. The prompt was uh, explore what's there, validate, um, rename the tab to deliverables. Um, oh, this might do. This might do more than I want it to. Let's see. It requires a server change. So what I wanted to do in those cases is I wanted to highlight, oh, this requires server change. I can't make this change yet. Because I don't want it changing server code because it can do. It will navigate out and do its thing because I don't have it constrained. So this is a change of view. So you get deliverables for review. This one, right? This pulls deliverables for review. That should be deliverables for implementation. So deliverables for implementation are any deliverable in ready for review, with development, and in progress states, right? Once a deliverable drops out of that and it's marked as complete or it's marked as cancelled, etc., it removes itself from there. There'll be side effects if I do it that way though. Um, Cancelling a deliverable is something that I'll have to consider what that means. The board's two new columns need deliverable start size don't exist in the client yet. Backend not ready yet. After the board load all three states. What do I do? Backend widens deliverables, filter generic query. Yeah, I think we'll do filter generic query. Because if we make it get deliverables, we can actually put the status on there and have that available. The state, sorry. Now, right now, what's going to happen is when I change this over, it's going to just have that one column in review, and I'm going to have to. And no, those won't be drag and drop. I should have probably made that sure that make that certain, but I'd assume I didn't check that. No, oh yeah. I was going to say I've got that documented out in. So this conversation I've had with Claude is really to help me kind of get all my ideas organized. It's really to help me validate one opinion against another. What happens is when you're developing something like this, I'm developing each thing in a vacuum, right? I'm developing, oh, I'm focused on this piece now, which is why all the changes stuff is going to have to be updated because it's got months and months out of date. Because I've focused on these other things over here. So what I'm using Claude for here is a continuing conversation, helping me stay consistent. So when I have, like, I've had this conversation about deliverables, there's an entire document in this project in Claude dedicated to how I want deliverables to behave. So that if I ask it something, hey, I want to do this, it'll say, whoa, that's a contradiction. You're doing this, by the way. Or you actually said you'd do this. So I can validate those ideas against what I've actually said previously. So I'm tracking that evolution. So that's how I'm using Claude quite heavily there at this point. And I'm finding that a very useful way to do it. Uh, okay, so yeah, so that's going to rip that up. Actually, that's not going to hurt that. I don't need to. I can drop get deliverables for review eventually because there is no such thing as get deliverables for review. There's get deliverables with these three statuses. And because I expose projection, that essentially becomes an entity framework query. My product review skill kind of fixes some of that. One of its purposes is to tell me what loose ends need to be fixed, tied up, etc. So the reason I created it. Yeah. Okay. So what Claude is going to do? It's going to add a fetch for implementation board modeled on fetch for review, but using the generic filter query and selecting the same filter. It's going to go to deliverables. It's going to go to here. And it's going to use where the status is in ready for review with development in progress. Returns the default deliverables. Darren, good morning. How are you doing? Board local status constant and column config, placeholder value, board component, uh, card component, navigation routes, detail backlink, move decode, delete the now unrouted flat list review component. Out of scope, explicitly not done. No D&D, drag handles, drop zones, or D&D library, that's fine. No state mutation, accept rejected status rewrites from this board. No add button. No new design tokens, no changes to global statuses. Verification, yes, and use auto mode. So that'll go ahead and do that now. So we'll just watch that change. So this goes away. which I'm fine with. And go get the swim lane or the Kanban style. I'm doing good. Doing good. It's Monday. This is going to be a shorter stream because I have a lot of work stuff ready to get ready for today. But yeah, be an exciting week, I think. It's one of those weeks you start where you're a bit nervous, but it's a good nervous. Okay, so let's see how this goes. So technically, this should require no back-end changes at this point because it's just deprecating the use of one endpoint in GraphQL. Interesting. What? It's interesting that fewer of them are on that screen right this second. After just a refresh. That should have gone away. Guess we'll see how this goes. So that review should change to deliverables. And what I'll do eventually is I'll put a star there if there's any for review that weren't open for review before you last saw it. So we'll indicate or number probably do a number, but tell you that there's something there for you to review. Uh, so question: do you think it would be useful for deliverables to have their own reference? I think it would be. So, like I've on the tasks, I have the reference, right? The reference is built off the project that the task is associated with. Um, like a nice, like DB5 for this task, right? So this is a database project assigned task, and it has a reference. I've yet to figure out how I'm going to do ad hoc tasks. Um, no, the ad hoc task is still associated with the project, so it still gets its own reference. So I'm thinking, do I put a deliverable reference on here so you can say, oh, it's DL1 or it's DL44, whatever. Um, wouldn't the reference be project, etc.? Well, that's what the task project. That's what the tasks are. They're based upon that project. I don't have product as a concept yet, do I? I don't really explicitly state that. So what you'd have to do there is an initiative. Initiatives would have to have a reference. So you'd have to set what initiatives had. Deliverables would have to have. I'm just trying to figure it out. Oh, Phil Snowball, how you doing? Happy Monday. I don't know. Just wondering if it would be useful and what because I can see that there's definitely an argument for um, being able to reference it. Say, oh, that's DL1. Um, so you'd have to say, oh, that's task model enhancement. So that's progress roll up and visibility. Well, that's the thing. You would say I'm done with DB5 because you would be working on DB5 as a task, right? So you'd have DB5 in a board. So you'd be, oh, I'm on FT3. That's my task that I'm working with. But if I say, hey, can you, we're going to focus on EL1 today, right? This is going to be the deliverable we're focused on this meeting. That might be a good way of doing it. But I don't know how to, because of the way I've laid things out. So we have product abbreviation team. Okay. So a project has a prefix, right? A deliverable can span projects, right? Because especially if I lay out this way, right? Front end and back end. Typically, we'd say a project is a product or a project is a component. So you might have the project might be um, attachments or planning, etc. Um, and then teams are associated with one or many projects, right? So a single team can span projects, and then a user is assigned to a team or many teams. A user can be on many teams, so it kind of crosses because again, someone could be on the DBA team, could actually be a member of another team. Um, so they see different things. So it's kind of a cross section. Yeah, one product has many projects, and you can have many products in a very large company. Each team works differently, therefore identify a different level. Yeah, I think. I mean, I asked it because I think it is probably realistic to believe that that is a thing. Um, what if QA is shared among multiple products across the org? Not necessarily. Um, just trying to figure out what I'd drive that off. What would I drive that? Thank you for the alert, Frank. Enjoy your breakfast. um, I don't have to solve it this second, but it is something I should consider. Like, we don't have anything to. But you are right. It could be product focused because the idea from the start has been that a deliverable is a thing. So if you have DevOps as a separate group, you can have a DevOps team, and this could be assigned a DevOps project because and the teams that are involved in this would be based on the project. So you could have teams that span projects. So you can say, "Oh, that team's going to take it. They're eligible to see that." So right, um, you don't have to assign it to a team at this level. You're not thinking about who's going to take it. You're thinking about the kind of work that it involves. That's why I'm flexing in that way. So teams can be consist of many members. A member can be on many teams, and a project, many projects can be assigned to a team. So it's you can flex that however you want. If you do one to one to one, it'll still work. But if you do one to many across these, you can still support that. So you can say this user is on this team. This team spans all projects. So DevOps and DBAs might be one uh, one team across all projects. Yeah. So right now I don't have there's no concept of like at this level, like who's what. Like I can see what are the product the deliverables assigned to me or versus everyone. Right, the second that's limited to that. But again, I think there's probably some future expansion there to say, oh, these particular products are the ones that are focused on. So that would allow that, and then the product would have a prefix potentially. So you could have many products, and that's probably the way you do that. And then a product manager can be assigned to a product, one or many products. And then an initiative would be assigned to a product as well. So an initiative would be an initiative type with the same reference. I think that probably solves that problem because then you just see. So this would have like, let's say we had a prefix of DL, then DL1 would be the initiative, and you might have DL 2, 3, 4, 5 as the deliverables of that It's an inherent parent-child. Team structure is pretty interrelated with org structure. Yeah. But I think that works to give me a unique reference because you could have many products represented. You could only have one product. You could have many products represented with different projects. You could have one product with many projects. You could have one product with one project, with with one team, with one. Yeah, you could still flex it that way. So that might be how we do that. So anyway, implementation deliverables. Kind of like that. I think product is a very large organizational structure. Depends on the depends on the depends on the product. Depends on the organization. I think. But I do like that. Uh, move you implementation. Actually, like would one team work on two products? Yes, potentially. Especially if you've got DevOps, QA, etc., product management spanning teams. Then yeah, you could. Like so to do that. I'd say adds a level of permissions as well, right? If I had a product, a team could be assigned to a product, or projects could be assigned to a product and filter down, right? So you can cascade them down or whatever to filter out what you care about. So you could potentially have a team that crosses um, products purely by being associated with projects that cross products. I'll have to think through it. But I think, I mean, thought that's enough, and I appreciate the feedback. Um, Confirm the new board does not use deliverables review. It calls fetch for implementation board, which runs a generic deliverables query. Fetch review is now dead code. Its only caller was the review component deleted. Nothing in the app calls it anymore. The remaining kits just definition itself. Uh, so let's stop that running. Let's clean that up while we're in there. Rinson, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome. For those that are new to stream, there is a Discord linked in the cards below, both on YouTube and on Twitch. All my streams go to YouTube, so you can go back and watch the many hundreds of streams I've done on this project at this point. Um, if you so choose. There's Discord linked. You're more than welcome to join the Discord if you want to chat about this, if you want to ask further questions, if you want to show off your own projects, ask software development questions. No matter what experience level, you're more than welcome. I'm always open for conversation. Um, yeah. So don't need that anymore. This is a bigger change on the back end. It's a much bigger change on the back end. Should start to break things in there. Let's delete this. We'll get rid of the view in a second. Right. Clear. Got to rename some of these things. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up all traces of that code. Is That's fine. Okay, so we have normal deliverable to review stuff. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah. So to clean up those pieces, include state, uh, state, formally, sales. So what I'm doing is I'm standardizing around this thing where a state is something that can go back and forth, and a phase is something that can only move forward. So um, initiatives only have a phase. They're in one of a few phases, right? I think. Initiative could be kind of planning, like ruminating on the idea, and then you can move it to a state of now planning it. Then it moves to a state of in progress, or it can be moved to a state of cancelled, etc. But it cannot us a phase. It cannot be in a. It cannot jump back from being decided upon to thinking about it. Right? It can only move forward. A release has a phase, and a deliverable has a state, and a task as a state, because it can jump back and forth. The task could be moved to in progress and then drop back to ready for development. It could be moved back to backlog as well, a task, if something's not quite right. And again, the entire idea of this system is what I will do there is if you move a project, an item from in progress to backlog, it will notify people. I've got to go back along and do that entire enriched notification system. Um, there's very small parts of it in there right now. The idea being that I don't want to have a meeting if something changes. I want to be able to say, oh, these things happened. Let me review what happened this week. Things I care about, products that I want to keep an eye on. Can you just kind of summarize those for me, and tell me what happened in them this week? And the entire concept of that is to try and make sure that we don't have to have meetings. We don't like, why did we change that? Who decided that? When did that happen? Right? Those things don't need to happen because the system can tell you where they are and show you in a lot of states, in a lot of places that you care about, like where things are. State, um, remove as 'Cause, yeah, 6 months. It's been that long. Feels like much longer. How you doing, Stone? It's, it's when they turned on all the logging to put that. That means they started working on that feature about 6 months ago, right? Or deploying the starts of it. That's all that means. It means they started recording enough metrics, etc., to be able to tell you that you've been logging for 6 months. 6 months ago. Uh, The rules review is documented as app created at runtime. What? What? The app code that created on this view has been removed, so prereq migration to drop it is the right cleanup. It's looking like this might be a script take of the yeah. Okay. So let's run that once more. That. Percent. So again, the idea here is that when a deliverable is ready for actual work to be planned on it, it gets put to an in review phase. That in review phase um, confirms searching the entire prereq repo deliverables for review appears only in documentation. There's no code that creates it, not in any base script, not in any archive migration, not in the. So this view is created entirely by the application at runtime, exactly as the docs describe. No, it's not. That means that I created a view manually. Views. So that means that view was created entirely manually. Duka's off. Hello, how you doing? And Duka, you gave me 100 bits last week for my affiliate anniversary. Thank you very much. I did not thank you for them. It did not dawn on me until afterwards because I don't see bits that often. Those bits. So thank you. So what I'm doing is I'm asking it to, and it probably should be a skill there, well, maybe a skill. I've added an instruction to say when we change a database schema, um, please verify that schema against what we have as rules to make sure that because I have this hooked up the MCP of local. So once I go to make a migration, it will do a spot check to say, hey, has there been any tables or views or etc. created manually so that if I forget to do it, it will call it out for me. Again, those things will save me time. Okay, so let's block this. So concept as a product manager, I go in here and I say, hey, I want this sample version deliverable. This is ready for review. I've done everything I need to do on it. It's ready for it. Actually, I'd set it to planning first. Right? So this one I'd set to planning. I'd start to go and plan it out. That tells. Really? I'm going to break on that? It's supposed to feel. one with having strings. I actually figured out that .NET, at least the latest version, allows me to go back to having real fields here. So I will be making that change later. But for right now, that's state. And actually, I didn't rename the column. Oop, that's a good call. I haven't tested this for a few minutes. We need to create a migration. Uh, ls planning for global. We column status now for all states. So what I've done is once I merged all the GitHub stuff in, it took that time to say, okay, now condense all the migrations that we've done. So all these 45 migrations, condense them all and make those the base scripts now. So the current schema out the box is the one. And then, yeah, so I'm just getting it to do that migration for right a second. That's interesting. Okay. So what I'm doing here is the organization no, not the organization management. The planning section has deliverables. Implementation is all about the tasks. It's actually about getting the work done. So task is probably the bad name here. This is more implementation. This is planning and this is implementation. So the view, the deliverable view I'm putting under the implementation tab is really representing the state of these things as they currently stand as it pertains to the actual implementation. So you will be able to, as a team, say, "Oh, we need to go and look at the deliverables to see what's pending for us to look at," and you'd see the ones that are associated with projects that are associated to your team, and now you could look through them and add tasks, ask questions, and it's really about trying to allow that to happen asynchronously. So the moment the product manager marks it as in review, the team can see it. They can go and ask questions, ask for more, because once it's marked as for review, the idea is that they've got everything they're going to be ready for. They just need to put it in a cycle to talk about it. So at that point, it's free game for everyone to see, for everyone of the teams to review. Um, you create migration. You scope the stars planning, but else view. Oh, good point. That's a good point. View domain configuration. That's a very good point. Receivers, deliverable receiver. Take status. Should be state. And now update deliverable command. State. 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 This should work because that now becomes, yeah. Let's make that capture. That should now work. I was drifting in the naming. So state is actually what I call it. It is a state, it's a deliverable state. Therefore, let's be consistent. So I'm trying to do that where possible. Kernel. We can run this, that's fine. What that would do right this second is if I run that again now, if I tried to replay any messages that have gone through Kafka, that would break. That's a story for another day. Um, what does it mean? I mean, it's a schema basically. So I still have to figure out that piece. That's part of my learning. It's how to deal with those schema messages in terms of what how would I handle the complete name change of a field. Okay, so put the squash model, base script to the frozen 45 snapshot, new migration layer on top. So I'll add migration 46 only and leave base scripts untouched. Writing it now. So that has created in here, that's created this. So now ls planning and else view get status, status rename to state. I recreate a view. Because all those requires that's good. It's called those things. That's a good point. I missed that one. I missed the view side of that. Let's start that running once more. So that got state. That still says status. But that's helped me out. So okay. So this week, the focus for this week will be very much on getting um, this workflow stabilized a little bit. So what I wanted to do is figure out finishing delivery so we can mark something as delivered. What I started to realize as I went through that is there's not enough, there's pieces missing before then that really help to flow that information through. So trying to get to the point where as someone testing this, you could create an initiative, you could define the deliverables, you could plan the deliverables, you could indicate that a team could pick that up, plan that out, task it out, assign the estimations, etc. Actually, put it into a sprint and pull it through, and then work on that. Ultimately, marking it as complete, and the delivery window being able to say, "Yep, this is sat there." I've still yet to figure out things like from a view perspective, what happens to um, what happens to a task that has been completed as part of a sprint. When the sprint completes, where does that sit? How do you know that's still sat waiting for delivery? Or if you forget to assign it, what happens? Is there a kind of a step of this item doesn't require delivery? Uh, do I need to force that? Do I need to let it happen and see if people identify it? Yeah. So challenges, challenges, challenges. So yeah. So again, the idea here being, I'm going. This is a deliverable that's been set as defining, which means it's been created from an initiative to say, yep, you're going to do more with this now. And then when the developer is ready to continue to actually, or ready, the product manager is ready to start defining what it means, what that deliverable specifically involves. Come on, wakey wakey. Oh, I better know what's happened now. Um, deliverables no longer have status. So the likelihood here is this query is failing because I have this named as deliverable status. Hopefully, it doesn't think state across the board is available. Coding with AI, I find the change variable far too much due to loss of context during refactors. Uh, yeah, yeah. I'm mixing that. I'm welcoming by the way to Tiva streams. Um, I am mixing a little bit of the AI. I still write a lot of the backend code. This is still my favorite area. The front end code, I'm kind of handing off to AI, and I just kind of test it. That's the thing I'm seeing most of the time. So I'm okay with that. I'm using AI for doing scripting and stuff for the database to help keep that in order and helping it. And I'm seeing it just a few times this time where it's caught things that I missed that I would need to refactor. But again, keeping it very focused on a specific task and moving it forward. So it's making me quicker, but not in the way that a lot of organizations want this second. But yeah, that's finally produced the monolith file that I'm trying to refactor partials, just renames and brace interfaces. Yeah, I mean, the argument I normally hear there is you've got to write instructions, you've got to make sure you're clear about what you're asking it to do, blah, 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 blah. But I get it. Yeah, so everything becomes state. Yeah, it's drift. I get it. So let's make sure that is correct. That I just did that. No, it's not. Okay, stop that one. State. That becomes state. This still has a bit too much behavior to it. I still need to break these out. Now I just try to start out with intended partials to avoid monoliths early. Yeah, what did I do? I did something last week. I had AI build a sample project to try and help me understand the concept of something. And oh, that's it. I wrote a simple tool to um I have a big video game collection, and I downloaded a load of ROMs because I'm playing some of those on FPGA hardware, so I don't have to use the physical hardware. So I downloaded the ROMs of the games, and I wanted to extract a bunch of zip files. So I wrote, I was like, I want a program to go into this directory, take the files, hold them in a temp directory, and copy the files over to the SD card, so I can just automate that for me. So I just had it write the program. It's just one massive code file. I'm like, can you clean that up a bit? And it tried to clean it up, and it made a mess. And I ended up just going in and guiding it. Oh, I want this in this phase. I want this piece here. I want this there. It was, yeah, I get it. Um, yeah, that's fun. I just want to finish this with one. So did that work? Apply update. Apply update runs update status. Update state. That I might want to make a more explicit behavior later. So let's do that. It's finishing the client. What I've been doing is instead of produce the code is to produce a markdown file. It's funny how they would code it and hand that markdown to a diff agent. Hmm. Yeah, I'm still not. I still prefer handwriting this for myself. I still enjoy this piece of my my role. And this is a personal project, so it doesn't really matter if I use AI or not to produce this. Yes, I can produce it quicker, but at this point, I'm just having fun building something that I see growing every day. and I don't get the same satisfaction from watching AI do it. Um, so I have uh, developed this site, which is for my game collection, and this is completely AI driven. I have no attachment to it whatsoever. It's just there you go. It's code. Uh, but this helps me track my game collection. But this I'm using it because it moves it moves that project forward. I don't have to spend months trying to build a game library app that I'm then going to go back and get distracted for. So any side project that I want, the side project to this project now, this Kaizu project is like even the holding page for Kaizu, right, is AI built, right? It makes sense. I'm saving myself that time. Uh, why spend months trying to build a website for tracking my games anymore when I can have a tool to do it? And it doesn't matter if it's the world's best code. All that matters is that I can sign into this. I can export my game collection as a CSV file. I can scan barcodes. I can use the price chart APIs. I can use IGDB. Pull all this information together. I added search and stuff in there this last weekend, and it took an hour. And yeah, so I get why that is a good tool. If I was building something this complicated still, I wouldn't want to do it. I just feel that like from the ground up application for this size, the MVP for Kaizu is uh, to get my vision across is not tiny, and I wouldn't want to rush there with AI to then have to go back and clean up that mess because the likelihood is if you got to the point where developing that MVP of this product was valuable, then you're likely not going to go back and touch it. You might as well just go forward. So, and people don't care because people don't see the quality. It's the same way we've always struggled to argue for um, technical debt refactorings. Oh, I need to take 2 weeks to refactor. We need to get these products done. Okay, the code's just the code. So you kind of, oh, well, let's move on. And that's the same thing with the AI generated code. If it's low quality, if it's dealing with it, it doesn't matter, right? Just write some more instructions and keep plugging away until it gets the right answer. And you won't see the impacts until later if you can't review it. Because if you're getting AI to review it, you won't see the impact. So that's the way we are. Well, that's where we are. Okay, you actually finished yet? Come on, buddy. It should have finished most of that. I said I was going to short stream this, and I need to finish up. So no worries, Steve. Thank you very much for coming, hanging out a bit. Yeah, more than welcome to come and chat anytime you like. Morning, Mojo. How you doing? Okay, come on. I just want to finish this one thing. We're almost there. This was intended to be a slightly shorter stream because I have things I need to get done. But I really want to finish something today. Oh, apparently status was right throughout the entire application. So what we've done today is we've changed up the review phase of implementation to be a kind of a Kanban style board of showing what's ready for review, what's with the development team, and what's in progress. So that we can kind of glance at that from an implementation perspective and understand, oh, as a team, um, we are working on this. Um, Sorry, I'm actually watching the try and finish all the updates in the background because I have named status state everywhere. Um, and if this broke, I'm hoping it didn't go wider. I don't see it going wider, but I've got auto mode on, so this is the danger. I've opened myself up to a problem. Shall see. But yeah, if you are new to the stream, if you have any thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, if you want to chat about coding, you're more than welcome. There is a Discord linked in the cards below. You are more than welcome to join that and hang out and chat. We do hang out in voice from time to time. Not so much recently, but I assume that is uh, yeah, it's sporadic anyway. So we do hang out in voice if anyone wants to come in and hang out and talk about software. If you want to share your own projects, if you want to share opinions on stuff, you're more than welcome to. Prattberg, good morning. How you doing? Just work. Screaming through 'em now. I didn't realize just how much there was. Oh, they could still call planning item statuses. I think we'll start that going. We finish stream to get that moving forward. See if we can get this fixed though. So planning item was the original deliverable. So my intention here is to smooth this piece out so that the flow from initiatives right through to delivery can happen. Once that can happen, I think that I should be able to focus my energy on getting this deployed somewhere and allowing people to test it and play with it if they want to. Problem is, it's not really a solo thing, so it'd have to be, hey, I've got a few people I work with that'll be interested in trying it, sort of thing. So maybe a bit challenging. Got Dave, got some stuff to take care of. I hope you have a great week. As I know you said, it'll be a busy one. Yeah, Doran, thank you very much for coming and hanging out. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. See you soon. Doesn't look like it's going to finish this. I really hope it finish it. Oh, definitely starts there. Build is clean. Build is not clean. Build is far from clean. So ultimately, the idea is we'll be able to go in here, work on this. I love all the deliverables is there, but it doesn't display in planning. That's interesting. We'll be able to go into a deliverable here with the product manager, say, yeah, this is fine. We're happy to take this. And the product manager, whoever's assigned to this, right, Alan Butler, would be able to say, yep, the team's got it, and they'd be mark it with the development team. So the team agrees, definition of ready, right? So you review this against your definition of ready, and then you move it to with development. The idea being that then it appear here or with development. And again, that's an ownership thing, right? The team owns this now. Once it's with development, the development team can go off and do any extra tasking, they can do pointing, etc. But from a product management perspective, they would see it as in progress with development. right? And they'd be able to see when it becomes actually in progress. So they can know, oh, it's start with development. Let me put a review date of, next month on it, because that's when they should start to pick up that work. And then you as a product manager know, oh, they're not moving forward, right? So that's kind of the idea here. Backlog is the tasks um, that need to be worked on by the development team individually. This needs to show the deliverable and the initiative potentially on the screen, and then they work through it on here. It's interesting that changed. That's really cool. So yeah, but anyway, my short stream turned into a full stream. Um, Time for me to start my day. So I will have to run. If you like .NET development, if you're interested in AI development as well, Stony Eagle is developing No Mercy, the effortless encoder, an entire platform built around media. Does that on stream a couple of times a week, when on a normal schedule, and fascinating place to go and hang out. Use a lot of AI to do a lot of different pieces, but kind of coordinating it has really powered the AI tooling workflow. So definitely worth checking out Stony. But for me, that will be it for the second. Um, we are going to go raid Anna. Anna is a C# streamer. She is one of very few streamers that do .NET at this time of the morning for me. So um, have a great rest of your day. I hope it's a productive one. And I will be back. Um, I'll be back Thursday morning. So take care all. Thank you very much for joining. See you again soon. Bye all.